Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Monday, the 5th of July. We are in July already. Where's time going? Welcome to Cutting Edge. My name is Felicia Hola. I am one of your co-hosts of this not daily program, but every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we come to you. And joining me is my usual co-host, Miss Limma McLeod. Good morning, Limmy Lims.
Good morning. How are you?
I fair to find. uh, Recovering from what was a very stressful week last week. I don't know how people doing it during this pandemic. I don't know how they're surviving. I don't know how they're keeping their mental capacities in check because I feel as if I am on the edge or on the verge of going off that edge every day.
Yeah. Yes. Welcome to the club. And it is just going to get more stressful because food prices going up, your salary not going up, if you're even getting a salary or if you have to work for your money. And things just getting crazy. Real crazy. Um,
Yep.
the price
And
of detergent gone up. But hey, laundromats open. Yay!
laundromats are open. I did not even realize we had that many laundromats in Trinidad and Tobago to qualify as a sector in and of itself to reopen today. So when I heard that news, I was like, we have that many laundromats in Trinidad
I
and
I
Tobago.
didn't know we had so many either. I don't know anybody who actually uses laundromats. I've never been in one. I see St. James has one, but I've never actually used it. It looks so, like I would expect to buy drugs in there or something. That's how it does look.
I know which one you're talking about. They actually have two. There's one the start or closer to the start of St.
Yeah.
James. We're heading from east going into west, and then there's one lower down near the end of St. James. But just like you, I had no idea that a laundromat was a thing. And guys, in a few minutes, you might start hearing some sirens because while I was preparing for my show this morning, I heard about 15 gunshots ring out. And somewhere near where I live, and I looked up the road and I saw a gathering of people. So I don't know what transpired this morning, but another day in the upside down paradise, another day living on the periphery of what is a hotspot. You don't know what and where is a hotspot now in Belmont because that's where I live. But again, it's another day of surviving the madness that comes with being
And how convenient. As soon as curfew done, right? They went and get that person.
as soon as if done. For guys who are just joining us, please share the video as we're about to build up the audience for the discussion on cutting edge this morning. So laundromats, limbs, as you said, laundromats are open. I believe he also heard the call of his citizens because let's pretend that Keith Rowley is a man who heeds the calls of his citizens and
Was a conscience.
the construction sector, both private and the public, is also open. I remember last week it was just the
The government
government
construction, which is mostly
construction.
Chinese employees and Venezuelans. Because remember when we were campaigning and the Diego Martin Health Center was under construction and we passed, it was only fair skin, light skin, yellow skin people. Not a black person was on that compound. Not in
Mm,
the security, right? So,
yeah.
but on
So
a burning question, everybody probably wants to know, please, have you gotten a drive in that skyline as yet?
of course, I was the first person that he took for the test drive, obviously.
Hmm.
I mean, that thing is just faster than anybody could imagine. Like, when my hair was blown out after we popped the sunroof. Does that have a sunroof? We popped the sunroof. I mean, just a trip from the start of the Savannah to the end of the Savannah, we spent like $100 in gas.
Wow, the rocket.
Yes. I mean, why would he buy a PEA though? Like, I mean, I guess for his name, but being rich like PEB now or something like that. I mean, he kind of
I have no
falling a
idea.
little bit
All
behind,
I
but
know is desperation is setting in, and they clearly want company to look bad, and they have to associate it with UNC, so that Stuart and Terrence and all these others buying brand new Mercedes Benz or whatever. So they kind of have to outdo that and show, well, look, he doing it too during a pandemic.
everybody knows that that Cabal page is a PNM run propaganda page. I mean, they have their different tiers of propaganda page. They have the Heliconia Foundation, which is supposedly the altruistic and charitable social work arm of the PNM. I believe it also inculcates some of the younger members, but that works as the high class version of the propaganda page. And then we have the little scraping the bottom of the barrel, who knows where they come from, pages that they used to release false information. But
But
I
the fact
mean,
that they have to have a social outreach page means the government are doing well. Government
the
are doing
government is not
right by
doing
people.
well at all. And I remember we did a program, I think it was a Monday morning program itself, about 3 weeks ago, and I was asking a question. We have so many people reaching out to the Citizens Union. We have so many people reaching out to the Progressive Empowerment Party. We have so many people on Facebook in various groups that you wouldn't expect to see people begging and asking for support during these very difficult times. And I remember asking the question, where is the media? Why aren't they reporting on what is clearly a situation that is growing out of control? And I mean, I know they operate on a little lag. They have a little lag. So I see 3 weeks later, an article was released in by Guardian Media. Growing poverty. The title of the article is "Growing Poverty in TNT. Low-income people have a smaller chance of surviving the pandemic." And oh my God, that is breakthrough news. Nobody knew that poor people who have no money in a time where there's no access to things like fast food, in a time where prices are skyrocketing through the roof. It is a surprise now to the rest of the nation who already knew this, that the pandemic is making poverty worse for people.
And the thing is, before the pandemic hit, we were already struggling. They were already stagnating our economy. You couldn't get US for a lot of things, and they purposely, drove people out of business by not giving them access to US. And it's only certain people getting all this US currency. So we were already struggling pre-COVID. Now that COVID hit us full blown, we are going to take longer to come out of this pandemic economically because of the foolishness that our finance minister has done before the pandemic. And there's no road to recovery plan that we are seeing in terms of the economic stability or rebuilding of it for Trinidad and Tobago. What is the plan? You're not hearing anything. You're not hearing, well, we will do this, we will boost that, we will talk to the banks, we will open this. We have engaged our foreign ambassadors and the trade and industry minister to, bring in new companies. We are going to properly decriminalize and legalize marijuana. You're not hearing anything. What the hell is the plan?
And I started off the program by saying that I am doing fair to fine when you asked me how I was doing. And I mean, that's the polite answer that you give to people when they ask how you're doing. But To be very honest, I last week I didn't do the program. What day it was? Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday I had what felt like a breakdown. Like I was that entire morning. I was just crying that entire morning. And there's me putting my business out in the road here this morning because I feel like, I can't be discussing people and what they're going through and not speaking about how it is impacting me. Me as a small business owner, seeing my business take off and then experiencing what right now is just like the biggest stall ever. And people saying, why don't do online deliveries and stuff. I did start off doing online deliveries, but the in order for me to get supplies, I need to get from suppliers. And if suppliers are closed during this pandemic, if shipping and bringing in things is costing you so much more money than if, you know, than if you buy locally, then what is the point? And all of that was like a leading to my frustration, just my growing frustration, just feeling stuck, feeling like literally somebody pressed a pause button in my life and in my finances, all of that. And I'm thinking, I as a young person, I saved a lot. I made sure and I did all the right things that they tell you to do when you're young. And now that you're living off of your savings, now that you literally watching your business at a standstill, I am going crazy and I'm wondering about all the other people who have it worse than me, who got retrenched. The statistics say, and our finance minister was very, I will guess, transparent in this regard when he told us that 113,000 people lost their jobs between 2020 and 2021. That's 113,000 people who went on the breadline. Now, let's assume that some of them got new jobs. That is still a
Where,
very,
where they get new jobs, Felicia?
and that's it. Who's hiring right now? Where are you getting your jobs? I called my dad. My dad lives abroad, and I was talking to him, and I told him, I say, I think I need to just come and spend some time. Like, I feel like I need to
Get away.
escape what feels like a trap. I'm feeling like I'm in a death trap. And guys, again, if you're just joining us on the live, I have not yet, but I see the numbers are climbing. Please share the live. This live is being broadcasted on 3 different pages. You might be seeing it on the Philip Alexander page, on the Citizens Union page, on the PEP page, and we're also live on YouTube as well. Whichever one you're watching us on, please just hit share. On our end, we get to see how many people are on the live collectively. So even if you're seeing 14 people on your stream, on my end, it's 140. So please just hit share and let's build up the discussion. So yeah, last week was a real dark time for me, and it comes and it goes because, you want to tell yourself be positive, but then it's so much like going against you that it's hard to find the light in all of the darkness that it feels like Trinidad is being engulfed in right now.
And the prime minister only apparently his immediate bubble is the only people that he's concerned about. He's saying that people are doing well. If your circle doing well, obviously you'll think people doing well, but the country isn't doing well. The fact that you have hundreds of people standing up in a very long line for hampers means that your people are not doing well. And there comes a time when you have to ask, okay, why are these people really standing up in this line? It cannot be because everybody's greedy. Come on. The greedy people sitting down in parliament right now because during a pandemic, they're buying $1 million vehicles.
Exactly.
And if people can't buy simple thing as food, and the thing is, right, it's not to say, all right, you're buying this $1 million vehicle, and then the equivalent of all the tax exemptions you get is what you're spending in your constituency for hampers. Then people might have been like, all right, but you're not even seeing that. I can't tell you when last you see All the motorcade and thing PNM do for elections, where them now? Still pass and wave like he was the queen on top of the truck. Where you now? Pass and check your people.
I read in a comment from Gail Castaneda that she's also feeling like that. Somebody, I think it was Daniel Jackson, asked me yesterday or day before, look your surface. And I'm like, if people only know her, like behind the smiles and the dressing up, sometimes I dress up just to feel better about living in these circumstances in Trinidad and Tobago. And I wasn't missing an action. I was literally just feeling depressed and heavy. I didn't even want to come on Facebook. I didn't want to do work. I didn't want to.
And that's the
And,
thing.
and this
Imagine
is,
you feeling like that, right? Imagine the parents who feeling like that but cannot show it because of the children. They have to stay strong and there for the children. So
I, I think about that all the time. I think, one of the comforts that I have is that I could come home, close my door, just lie down in my bed, put on some music, and de-stress at the end of the day. Last week was SCA. Parents didn't have that luxury. Even if you're not working, I was talking to a girl. She said, "You know what it is?" I was explaining my situations, and she's like, "Girl, you still have it good." She's like, "You know what it is to watch a child in their face. That child is crying. That child hungry, and you only have $1 in your pocket." And I couldn't imagine that because I'm not a parent, but I could still put myself in her shoes and just imagine just how hard these past 15 months have been on people. And then prior to those 15 months, how hard it has been on the working and the employable population of Trinidad and Tobago. It is a hard time. The economist Valmiki Arjun, he's pointing out the fact that on average, a family of four needs minimum $3,500 to $4,000 a month to feed and take care of a family.
yeah, that is true. You'll spend 2,000 in the supermarket and the rest is for bills.
And the funny thing is, none of that is rent, obviously, because that's some people rent
Yeah.
$3,500. Some people rent for the entire month. It doesn't include rent. It doesn't include bills and utilities. So and that is the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Some people not even making that for the month. And again, you have a family of 4 and 5 mouths to feed. So I really put myself in people's shoes during this pandemic and realize that we're not doing well. We're not doing well as a nation. Our mental capacities. I tell you, last week when I leave in the house on my way to work, I crying long tears, and my mommy like, "Felicia, what is wrong?" I'm like, I can't even explain to her just how drained and
Yeah.
mentally frustrated I feel right
And
now.
remember in the beginning of the COVID, in the programs, when we were discussing how this government isn't doing enough for mental health, they were supposed to have pop-up clinics all over the place, Citygate, the Savannah, where people could have gone and gotten free counseling, somebody to talk to. So, and social development would have been there to say, okay, organize the grants for these people or whatever the case is. And you have pop-up clinics like that all over the country. That is what they were needing to do. And in that research that they would have been collecting, that data, they would have known, okay, ease up on the restrictions for places of solitude like hiking, beach run, the river runs, etc. And you just have your police go out and social distance. Tell people you all need to social distance. But people need that time for the self to be able to cope with it. We don't have any coping mechanisms. So whereas men could have gone and played football or cricket, you could have swim, you could have play rugby, whatever it was, to ease the stress and tension that you're feeling at home because you lost your business or whatever. What is your outlet to de-stress? That's why you see domestic violence went up, and it was obvious. But this government don't feel those things. Maybe no minister is an abuser, so or they know and they know how to, keep it hush hush or quiet. But to say that they will do something about it, and that's the thing. Our government isn't solution driven. They're not thinking about all the other problems, and mental health is a major problem. You can imagine how all those SCA children feeling. Yeah, they're relieved from the stress of the exam, but how did they release the stress when parents cannot take them for a beach to play in the salt water, to run up and down on the beach, to run in the play park, to run in the savannah? The children are all under pressure.
And the pressure seems to be just surmounting because today we have the construction sector, the laundromat sector. I didn't realize they were a sector being opened up, but we still have our food and service sector being closed now.
And that is the major sector, money driven sector in this country. Yeah.
I am still waiting to see the research that tells you that COVID-19 is more likely to be transferred or transmitted in a restaurant setting. What is the difference in a restaurant doing takeaway than a grocery offering the same takeaway? What is the difference? Because you're seeing various marketplaces popping up, and at first I thought they were illegal, but they're legal. You have Cambo Marketplace, you have Sakura, you have several marketplaces, and they seem to be functioning well. I do not think that you can blame them for the spike in anything. So why not allow restaurants to offer the same
But
takeaways?
we had that before you close up food places. But the problem is you didn't have it equally distributed where, everybody could have done it. And then because one or two restaurants were overdoing it with not social distancing and controlling the crowd, you close down all instead of that one particular restaurant.
So, construction workers obviously will have to pack and carry their lunch. That is
So
understood.
they're going to make money to just buy food to come to work with.
We're talking about, I see Caribbean Airlines flights are online. If you go now and you search for flights from Miami to Trinidad, you can get flights starting from, I think.
So they're not retrenching their workers again then, because if you're opening up flights to here, there, and everywhere with Caribbean Airlines, the same airline that you said 450 people had to be, sent home, retrenched. Are you now canceling on that retrenchment and having these people, because these people obviously would have been a necessity to the airline?
I don't know what's happening. I think the retrenchment plan is still on, but we opening up the economy. Well, not economy. We opening up the country without first properly opening up the economy, and we're opening it up at a very precarious time, if you ask me. We have at least four or five different versions of the COVID-19 virus. I sent you an article. I don't know if you had the chance to read it. A Nobel Prize winner, his name is escaping me right now, but he wrote an article that said, basically pointed to a correlation between the increase in deaths and vaccination. Now, this was a question that has been on my mind personally for a while, because when we started administering the vaccines in Trinidad and Tobago, is when I also noticed a spike in the numbers. So it was around vaccine time, and it was around Tobago Jamet 50,000 wine on the beach time, and both of them, of course, the Tobago one being the most obvious one, 50,000 people whining and jamming on each other, but also the vaccination. Could that be, or could that possibly be linked?
But Felicia, we have been asking for the past how many months? What data collection are they doing on our citizens as to the impact on these vaccines? Are they doing tests to see if we getting blood clots, heart problems, heart failure, whatever problems experiencing? Are they doing that independent research locally on our people to see what happening to us? We're not even
You,
sure if they're asking for a negative PCR test before you give them the vaccine. So for all you know, people who COVID positive went and get vaccines.
I did see, I do remember, sorry, you asking that question. And I mean, that is, to me, that is one of the most pertinent things that you should be doing in the middle of a pandemic. Something as brand new like COVID-19. And when I say brand new, this is the first time the strain has fucked up. You're administering vaccines in under a year of the vaccines being created. And you now have to, in my opinion, be monitoring the effects. Just like when you take Panadol or ibuprofen or Midol, they tell you on the back of the pack, may cause drowsiness, may cause upset stomach, may cause um, darkening of the all the possible things that taking these tablets could cause. We know this information because when it was first created and first administered, they studied a test group of people and they were able to say of a population of 50,000 people who administered the Panadol tablet, 0.01% of those had upset stomachs. So yes, this is a side effect of taking this tablet, but it's a very low percentage of the population. I feel like that should be happening in real time right now as we are gathering data and as we continue to create and administer vaccines. But just like you say, Lemma, how we will know people dying and we have no idea what they're dying from? Is it comorbidities? Is it the vaccine? Is it people getting the vaccine and they already had the virus, so we basically gave them a lethal injection? What is it? And we don't know. We do not know. I'm wondering, what are all these medical research facilities we have? What are they for?
At this
What's
point,
Carver doing?
I don't know. Responding to Terry's emails. I really don't know because the more you ask, it's like you don't ever get answers to questions. And our journalists don't seem to ask the right questions, and the ones that do seem to get ridiculed and suspended, etc., for asking relevant questions. And our media clearly don't stand up with each other. Matt is clearly exactly that, a Matt. Um, I don't know because these are questions we're supposed to be asking. Nowhere have they done any research to show or say that the beach pushes COVID. Why you close the beaches? Have you done any research to say, well, yeah, people really get COVID-19 on the beach? All the rump people went on beach. You didn't hear about those same people having any huge influx of COVID-19. So why aren't we testing the theory that salt water is actually good? Why aren't we testing it? Why are we not doing our own independent studies? Other countries doing it. I mean, those countries might be bigger, but still, you for yourself don't want to do your own research to see what is best for your people.
I think in the next 3 to 5 years, when the research that I know is currently being done by countries what's it been? Proactively, yes, who proactively want to
Russia
know,
and Italy did autopsies on their patients, COVID
yeah,
19 patients,
for countries who
against
proactively,
whose criminal thing that they called it a criminal what? Some criminal thing. So in other words, it's an offense or some kind of thing to do it. And Russia, well, you can't really tell Russia no. And Italy did it. And what they said, it's not a virus, it's a bacteria.
and that changes the game entirely because viruses, you can't really kill it. You can build up antibodies to it. So that's
Yeah.
the same way you don't get the same cold. The cold is a virus, and they never
Yeah.
get the same
Type.
version or
Yeah.
strain of the cold twice. We know that. But just like and similarly with the COVID-19 virus. If it is in fact a virus, I mean a bacteria, and we treating it like a virus, then the treatment is completely not in line with
Yeah,
it. You treat bacteria with um
antibiotics and
antibiotics.
anti-inflammatory things. And that is what the Russian scientists in the article said, that they're treating it all wrong. So you have those kind of studies coming out, but yet still nobody else doing these studies. Our government want to hide certain information and certain facts from us, but we have to take it from internationally. So how we know AstraZeneca causes blood clots is because we have to go with the studies Canada would have done and Europe would have done, because they're not doing the same studies here.
We're not doing the same studies here, and like I was starting to say earlier, I think in the next 3 to 5 years, the global population, is going to realize how much in my, I don't know if I can say this because they tend to be pulling these things, but I personally think that we overreacted as the entire world. And I understand why we did that. I mean, something brand new, it's killing people. It's like a cold, but it's not a cold, it's like a super cold. And if you get it, chances are you could die if you have certain comorbidity. So it was new and we didn't know what it was, so we reacted. But I believe, and this is how research usually goes, I believe that as time passes and as more people do research, we're going to realize that there are things that we did that we should not have done. And then there are things that we didn't do that
We
we
were
should have
supposed,
done, like open the
yeah,
beaches. I personally, this is backed by no research other than when I am sick and I go to the beach, I feel 80% better. I personally believe that sand, salt, and seawater is going to be good for
salt
you.
water has healing properties, because you grow up with your granny telling you your baby have a, or your young child have a really bad cold. They tell you go in the sea, take a sea bath and soak your head in the salt water. They just tell you sap your head. It's bring it down. Coconut oil is bring down the cold. All these different things you grow up on. And it is true.
So the fact that we have basically made it a crime to go to what Hadassah just referred to as nature's, or to receive nature's own medicine, is testament to how much of an overcorrection and overreaction I believe we as a global population.
Have they done any tests to see if medicinal cannabis or medicinal marijuana could be effective on this virus, this COVID
They
19?
actually have, and they or started to, and I don't wanna. There's no credible source that I can cite, so I invite people to do what I do, and I don't know. Go online, do your own research. But there is research out there, and people who would have used cannabis and THC to assist, especially with people who have, what's that you can develop when you get lung problems. That is associated with COVID-19. But so much more research needs to be done. And yes, I agree, it needs to be happening right here in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't know anything about those dead bodies that they're going to dispose of due to COVID-19. We don't know anything about previous comorbidities. We don't know anything about whether or not these people were vaccinated before, whether this was a reaction to the vaccination. We don't know. And I think we're missing out on an opportunity to really affect the development of a real COVID-19 vaccine, because I don't know if I fully believe in the ones that we have on the market right now. Sinopharm, it's 50% efficacy. Like, why even bother? Why
But
even
many
bother?
countries giving their people one dose of that and another dose of something else to boost the efficacy of the Sinopharm, which to me I don't think make any sense. They should just give you two doses of the proper, or the ones that have the better efficacy. But I don't understand we didn't do all what we were supposed to do in the first place to prevent this from happening here. Because if they had just shut our borders as you are supposed to, so that illegal Venezuelans could not be coming here back and forward, and your 1% couldn't fly out and jet set every minute behind closed doors because it's your friend and your buddy, things would not be so bad. It's not poor people that spread this virus. It's the rich people who brought it back here by in and out, in and out. And then it spread through the poor communities because the gatherings of people or whatnot. And that is how I firmly believe it is, because you put SOE and you put curfew. Nobody doesn't be out in the night already, so there's no movement of people in the night. But yet still we have a curfew in the night, and you're still seeing cases rising. Obviously, it's during the day when the mass crowds are out and about and gathering all over, because again, you're not identifying the fact that people have to go out to work to make money, to pay for bills. I have heard of people, their cars and homes being repossessed from the bank. The banks moving like serious parasites taking over, and the prime minister and his minister of finance not doing anything about that. If I am out of a job because of your incompetence, how could I pay my loans? How could I pay my bills? How the management of these banks could operate like that? Obviously, people lose jobs. So how you want them to pay for the vehicles? How you want them to pay for these homes? That's wickedness.
Again, and I mean, I'm glad to see that Guardian Media finally caught up to the reality that is facing Trinidad and Tobago. I'm glad to see that they finally caught up to the fact that people who were not doing well before the pandemic, certainly not doing well now, but they also need to catch up to these realities that we're discussing right now on this program, because these are the things that we need to be talking about. I don't need to hear about Marshall Montano and when he discovered Farmer Nappy and all the bullshit stories that they like to plant and I don't know if it's to distract us or to make us, I don't know, but whatever its purpose, it's not serving it, because to me, it's just pointing out that we do not have a media with a backbone. We don't have media with teeth. Bigger people, and I'm saying it like this, bigger people like Gail Alexander, who still writes from a point of view that can bring critical information to the public, and it's not just laugh and jokes and giggles. But who is writing the article on what you just said there? Had Trinidad and Tobago closed its borders when we should have, we would not be in this position today. We're talking about reopening borders now, in the middle of what is our greatest spike. We're talking about reopening borders now. Why didn't talk about borders when we needed to talk about borders? Why are we in this position now? Why are we here today?
But the thing about it is, police, what I don't understand though. They put this pushy man to go in the airport to talk about borders opening or whatever. He's the Minister of Energy. So why Fitzgerald, who's the Minister of National Security, didn't go and talk about this? If Fitzgerald is just a placemat holder, well then remove him from the position and let him stop getting paid for a salary he is not doing. He is the Minister of National Security. He's supposed to be the one in the airport talking about right borders being open to answer questions from the media. Well, you don't trust the man to talk because why? He's talked too much. But how could you open borders when we are seeing a spike in cases? The economy is shut, and what people coming back here to do exactly? Sit down in SOE? What are you
I'm not going to pound the people who I know, especially those who stuck outside for so long. Lord knows how these people surviving on charity and handouts and good-natured people. But
Felicia, all right, you're opening up borders while we in the heat of the spike. So why the hell you didn't bring them home in the first blasted place? Why you didn't bring them home?
I don't know. And again, I need more people asking that question. Why are we doing things back to front? Why are we talking about opening the borders now when we spiking? Why we didn't close the borders when we had the opportunity to? And you said, Lama, the poor people not bringing in COVID. Also, the illegal immigrants are bringing in COVID. How did we get the Brazil variant?
And he on his press release, his press conference say he don't even know if the Delta here or not, or he's not sure or something like that. But it's like, how you will know anyways? It's only when it pop up in the hospital you will know. And if it here is either one of your 1% bring it in because the jet setting all over the place, or it hit through South America and they just cross and come over because Trinidad is free for all.
And the poor people are left to feel the brunt of it because all of these economic policies, all of these social development policies, all of these public health ordinances, the only people that it's really hurting are the poor people. Think about it.
Yeah. Winston, I don't think it's bush rum he drinking. That is the white powder. I've been thinking so white powder.
And we can't forget this, of course, to add to the discussion. Of course, right now, in the height of all of the, I guess, pain being experienced, and as a euphemism, pain can't even describe what it is poor people must be feeling. And not just saying poor people, like I started off this program by telling you all just how depressing all of this has been for me as a business owner. But in the middle of all of this, the Prime Minister is talking about property tax. And the question was asked to him, how could you think about, property tax now? And he said, what better time to be frugal? And I'm thinking about this summer man who is responsible for everything. And they had the goal to boast about $300 and something million in COVID relief that was administered since 2020 to now. Who has benefited from that? I don't know. Was that?
And people still can't get that $1,500 grant.
And that's it. They said of the people, I started off by saying 113,000 people were retrenched in the past year. For this year alone, between January and April, they had less than 250 applications for assistance. Those numbers not adding up. It's either people just don't believe that this rental grant and this COVID-19 $1,500 grant is real and they're not bothering to apply, or the figures and the numbers are being intentionally manipulated to confuse the public. There's 113,000 people on the breadline and 250 something applying for COVID relief. It's not adding up. And Navin just said 80% of our citizens are poor people, and I believe that number. I believe that number because for what many people believe is surviving, not surviving, for what many people believe is living, when compared to other countries, and I'm not talking just United States and Canada, I'm talking about other countries that function well. When compared to those other countries, we're not living, we're surviving, and we barely surviving.
Yeah. And I keep saying it. He comparing us to the worst countries, and the ass wouldn't look at countries like New Zealand. Look at other countries. New Zealand is doing well. Even if you want to go Europe, you can look at Germany, you can look at other European countries. Why are you not looking at those? How well they're doing? How much better? Philippines probably in a better position than us. But you studying now, people already under pressure. You want to come and add that property tax on top of that? People losing their house. So on top of the bank, on the heels of repossessing your house because you ain't paying mortgage and how much because you lost your job, you come in to add property tax on top of that. If I can't pay the effing mortgage, how you want me to pay property tax?
The man said use the money that you're getting from the grants, because don't assume that money is just for you to eat and survive. Use some of that money to pay property tax. Didn't he tell you that it was coming? Didn't he tell us?
You know, I would love to interview Abu Bakr. I would love to interview him now to ask him, you know, back in 1990, was it like this? Exactly like this?
The scary thing is if it was, and now 30 something years later, it's still like this, or it
Yeah,
was
but he getting money now. He getting money as part of the social arm of the government to help with hamper distribution and whatnot. So you're benefiting. Right? You're benefiting.
So property tax is coming. Well, for those who are ready and for those who are not ready, it doesn't matter. It's coming. According to the Prime Minister, we have to pay our taxes. We're still not hearing about the 3,000 ghost workers in WASA. I just saw somebody said they got laid off from WASA in 2015. Imagine that. You lose your job 6 years ago in favor for a ghost employee who collected a salary every
Great
day.
is the PNM. That is what it is. Great is the PNM.
That,
And then,
that,
and just think about this, right? If DSS was still running, you know how many people would have still been able to live now? If we didn't conveniently go and say he was money laundering, right? Because apparently he's the only one in Trinidad and Tobago money laundering. Yeah? That we have to call foreign help for because it was a matter of national security. The drugs is not a matter of national security. The illegal influx of Venezuelans is not a matter of national security, but DSS is. And if DSS was allowed to continue, poor people would have been able to survive, live, take their 700 or how much ever and keep putting it back into the system. You get your thing, you was able to pay your mortgage, your loans, food, your bills. But DSS was money laundering. But all the stores that remain open in the mall selling one top a month could make the 25,000 or 50,000, how much ever is the month for the mall per month, like clockwork. And that is not money laundering. You see the convenience of TTPS? I really can't stand that, you know. I really can't stand that convenience. You saw the video where sword break open somebody's door, mash up the people $20,000 door, take the man, and then bring him back and go, sorry, in the dead of the night, and leave them, the wife home with the children. So you put the family at risk, leaving the door open. So people could have run in, take the food, loot all what they had. It's small children. So what if they had get raped or some kind of thing now? You see the shit TTPS does do? And then you come to ball, sorry?
listen, that could possibly explain the millions of dollars, that billions if you add up between the two administrations. And I had this tabled to discuss this morning, the childish toddler kind of behavior that the PNM and UNC like to engage in, using my tax dollars in Parliament, arguing over which administration spends the most amount of money in legal briefs. And I
Once
mean,
a man, twice a child. Old people, after a certain age, start behaving just like toddlers. We need
yeah,
to
and
start
that is
with
it. I mean, listen to the ex-prime minister of our country, reading the ex-prime minister of our country address the prime minister and say, what did she say? Oh God, I can't remember the slang that she used, but it was so childish. It was so unheard of as somebody in a leadership position, as somebody who is in a position that is supposed to be the check and balance against a government being able to do the country whatever it wants. But it doesn't seem like we have that, because they both get in there, the government and the opposition. They pelt feces across the fence at each other. They use parliamentary privilege to lie and say bullshit to the public, while we have people literally digging in garbage to live and survive.
and I keep
Millions,
saying,
billions of dollars in legal
They in it together. We in it by ourselves, but they in it together. None of them had to sacrifice a single thing during this pandemic. They got their full salaries, full perks. They're all still able to buy $1 million, $1 billion vehicles at the courtesy of tax-paying citizens. They didn't feel anything at the front of this. Any of them had to sacrifice anything. They could still go and buy. If breeze go up to $500 a pack, they will still be able to buy that. If chicken go up to $100 for one, they will still buy that. In the first place, we not even sure they still eat chicken. They must just eat veal and lamb,
venison,
and all these different high
salmon,
stuff.
lobster, all of the fancy
Exactly.
that
So
we
all those fancy stuff that they were already eating, they still continue eating it. Champagne bottles by the case. They're still eating luxury and fanciness. They're not in our position, and that is what people need to understand, that we are in it together. They're in it by themselves. There's that separation there. It's not all of us in this together. Otherwise, Keith would have taken a salary cut. He would have fired Champagne because she's not a sports minister. We have no tourism going on. We have no, what else? What other ministries not functioning right? He would have cut them from cabinet because they're not serving a purpose. All they're doing is getting money for not doing it. Look how Champagne looking. She's doing quite well off of taxpayers. She probably had to go abroad to shop for new sizing clothes, but she is doing well. None of them had to sacrifice.
And it must be so nice to be living in that cocoon, that bubble that shields you from what real hunger and starvation and poverty looks like. And when I say that, of course, I am being sarcastic, because the people who should not be able to sleep when the night comes are the people who are responsible for making sure that others can sleep when the night comes. But how can you sleep when you have to study? I have children to feed in the morning. I have school books to buy because a new school term started.
Yes.
I have a car that they just repossessed. I have a house that they come in to take property tax for. But they might also repossess the house because I can't pay my mortgage. How Keith Rowley, Shamfa, Dolly, how Stewart and Faris and all the other assholes that is the brain, how they just sleep at night? Girl?
And then you have people like Rhoda Barrett coming to ridicule people who say, I opening tomorrow because the bank calling me, blah, blah, blah. Again, she out of touch too, because how you can put yourself in that man position? The bank calling you. You have rent to pay for the building that you're in. You don't understand that? How you cannot understand that?
Somebody, I remember when this woman said last week about people being greedy by going for hampers that they don't need. Somebody said it, and they said it so perfectly. I wish I remembered exactly how they phrased it, but paraphrasing, they said, what is greedy is making over $30,000, $40,000 a month, getting tax-free cars and stipends and housing allowance. Greedy is still making a salary and then still getting these things on top of the salary that could more than afford to pay for all of the luxuries that we as taxpayers paying to uphold your lavish lifestyle. That is what you call being greedy. It's like those who have, not content with what they have, they insist that they must have more, and to take more, they're taking it from the people at the bottom, because of that 300 and how much ever $1 million that they claimed they have used on since the COVID-19 pandemic. I do not know anybody who can say that they benefited in any real tangible way from it, because giving me 2 bags of okra to feed a family of 5 and 6 per day is nothing. And if that is where that 300 and something million dollars went, then we as a nation should be suing our government, because they have literally played with our lives. They have played with the lives of our future generations. They've played with the lives of our children. That essay, that abusive essay that we still forced them children to undergo last week.
Yeah.
We don't care. They
No,
don't
we
care. No,
can't
no.
because with all the information that the Ministry of Education had put out about 30,000 children not having devices, how much of them actually get devices now to this date? How many? You still, okay, you put out your statistics. You say how much get devices yet? No. 2,000 that drop out in Trinidad and 232 that drop out in Tobago. Anything about that? You don't hear anything after she come out and say, well, we know this happened. What are you doing to fix the situation? We put in more monsters on the street for future problems instead of fixing it while you can. Why these children drop out of school? Because they cannot keep up. They cannot keep up. Why? Because it's either they don't have the support at home, they don't have the devices, they cannot keep up because online schooling is not for everybody. It have plenty children that cannot. Look, right now in my daughter's school, the teacher said many are promoted but with difficulty. And they had to promote children who are not ready to be promoted. Why? Because you don't have the physical capacity to keep them back if school was to open September. You don't have the physical space in many of these classrooms that if you had to keep back half of one class to join the other class, we making monsters because it will have children being promoted that not ready, who cannot handle the school work. And if you're promoted and you can't read properly or you don't understand the basics, you're just having children go through a cycle without any checks and balances. Who stopping to make sure, okay, this child has a problem before she reaches SEA class? This is bullshit. We're doing nonsense. New school term starting in September. We don't get booklets already. But if you don't have a job, how you buying books? How you buying stationery? Right? And then when you finally get your money, because parents used to do a little susu and all of that to be able to get your money to pay for these things. And it's the same rush you're going to have in the bookstores to buy these stationaries because there's only certain places you could go and get cheap stationery and reasonably priced books. So that is our next wave you're going to be telling us we will be experiencing there. And you're going to blame it on us too because why? All you didn't have to rush. But if that's how the money come in, you're not making it easier. I don't understand what we are doing. You didn't even come with the alternative of ebooks or parents being able to print these pages as the term progresses and you need to use the work. There's no change to the curriculum. It's the same thing again. And if it didn't work last year, you expect it to work this year with the same thing?
I have school books, and this is coming from a child who loves to read. I have school books that I never even cracked. And not because I didn't want to crack it, but because at no point in the term or the syllabus did we need to have these books. Some of these books were just literally books that you could have gone in the library and referenced. But we're making parents pay $300, $400, $500 for. And like Melly Bless Charles just said, where people get any money to buy these books? Where? I remind me of that woman, that making any sense?
Yeah.
We making any sense as a nation right now? Guys, if you're just joining us, 8:01 a.m., please share the live. We still have a few more minutes of this discussion. I think it's a very good discussion that we are having this morning. That's also just said why these books not available to download yet, because, and I agree with you, Hadassah, but being facetious again, because there's no money in creating ebooks. If you could download a book for $5 versus paying $500 in the store, there's no profit for the people who every year get paid to reprint the same version of the same book, changing 2 words in it or not changing anything at all, and then upping the price. And that is the insanity of the madness that we live in Trinidad and Tobago. I see the CARICOM has done itself a good service, a great service, by electing a new head of CARICOM. It is no longer Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and that might probably be the only time I refer to him with such high regard, using all of
I heard all the glasses clinking and cheersing when they re-elected someone else.
And that's it. I haven't heard anything. You have heard nothing in terms of, we would like to thank Keith Christopher Rowley for the years he headed CARICOM and led us to such a bright future. There was nothing. but you could almost hear, like you say, the glasses clinking, cheering, and celebrating fast.
They
It
have
was no
relief that.
longer.
Thank the Lord we get that man out. Jesus Christ.
Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley was replaced. Um, who is by who the Prime Minister of Antigua and
And Barbuda.
Barbuda?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I don't have any other explanation for that other than obviously. You have a man who is heading a country that is right now the laughing stock of the Caribbean. Who who is going to trust him to lead and take anybody forward? And I'm not saying that he was let go before his time. I'm not saying that he was voted out. I haven't heard the exact circumstances. But I know if I was on that board or on that, I would have been like, thank Jesus.
With
Because
Guyana probably saying that.
yeah, if it's one good thing to come out of this pandemic is getting to replace him as the chair of that. You know, maybe with a new chair, they might be able to put forward some forward thinking ideas that the rest of the Caribbean economy can latch on to.
You know, like, could
haven't.
we get some Cuban vaccines up in this place, please?
Could we get some Cuban vaccines up in this place? Good morning, Sis Lima and Felicia and everybody in the live. That's from Jonathan McCree. Good morning, Jonathan, and good morning to everybody on the live. Just reading some of the comments now. Imagine internet going ever so often and the child is blamed and abused for being absent and other things. It's not their fault. Listen, I don't have kids and I could just imagine how frustrating this online
and some of these teachers don't understand, boy. Woo-hoo. But you know, some of the children, they really do need supervision. I would understand that because during, you know, my daughter's do need supervision. I would hear people saying, Kamaya, could you please turn on your videos? And that's the same thing over and over. You keep hearing them repeating, calling children name, turn on your video, turn on your video. And it's like, you know, what it is you're really doing home that you need to turn off your video for? And then there are some cases where you have to turn off your video because your bandwidth isn't strong enough. So the video takes away from you being
the bandwidth,
and so forth. So I could understand that, but I'm not sure if the teachers understood that. Online schooling is stressful, you know, I really don't like it.
Not just that, I mean, not all children, one of the things that school provided you with was an escape from your home life. Whatever are your problems at home, you could leave them between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. every day. Putting on my video in a house where I have a drunken father, a mother who likes to cuss in the morning, and walk around in her nightie. All of these kind of things. I mean, you're literally bringing the home into this.
Yeah.
I understand why some children may feel uncomfortable. Not everybody have a remote study room set up with air conditioning and a bandwidth of 400 megabytes to run the fast. Not everybody have that. Some people
and then your neighbor passing in the car and he playing loud music, and the only way for him to understand to lower it down is when you go out and you bust some cuss in his ass because he don't understand. Hello, excuse, class is going on. Them so don't understand that. You have to say, but what is so and so wrong with you? You know, it's so and so school, because that is what people don't understand.
Or you're online and it just so you're hearing some Trinidad music ponging out because your neighbors and them having a private session. That is the reality of us trying to have online.
You're hearing the whacker man, you're hearing buying scrap iron passing, you're hearing
the chickens and the dogs competing for your attention in that classroom.
Yeah.
It is a challenging time, people. It's challenging for teachers.
And when you ask somebody teachers, I didn't hear what you said, could you repeat? Somebody teachers want to get vexed for that. You can't get vexed for that because you self-live in Trinidad, you don't know what Trinidadians do.
I think it's a frustrating situation all around, and what is needed on top, I mean, of course, what is needed is understanding across all parties. But on top of that, what is most needed is some kind of intervention from the Ministry of education. And when I say intervention to find the how much? 2,000 children?
Is well, it will be about 22 something because to be
2,200 children
230 in Trinidad is
who
2000.
dropped out of the education system.
Yeah.
We need intervention to be able to make sure that those children who are in the system can actually have access to the system, internet,
And again, a
devices,
solution for that, Felicia, would have been corporate sponsorship for a proper signal for the school itself. So children who had devices could have gone in the school and social distance
and I
and
loved that idea. I love that
and
idea. We have enough
yes, you
classrooms
do.
to do that.
Yes, they had enough, and then you could have done that because if you know home is not a conducive environment for you, go in the school and sit down with your book, your bag, whatever, and your laptop, tablet, whatever, and you have your thing there. Your parents send you with lunch and everything one time.
Imagine that, Limbs. Every day in every school, there are about 30 to 50 devices, classrooms set aside for children who who simply cannot do online schooling at home for whatever reason. Daddy abusive, you have no internet, you have no device. Imagine that. Every day you log in at 8 a.m. or 9 and log out at 2, whatever. You return your device, and in order to leave, you have to return everything in the order that you find. Imagine we had that, and rather than what we have right now, which is so many children on the wayside falling out of school, and they basically being punished for the incompetence of
And then
leaders in charge.
all Dolly concerned about is coming back to physical school. Now, if online you have changed it from school starting at 9, are you now going back to start it at begin school at 8:30? Is it this rigid writing all the way again? Or are you now going to tweak the system to incorporate computers and technology in the school? Because there are some children who would have done well with the online schooling. Are you going to incorporate it too? Or is it go right back to books and reading and sitting down like you're in some, rigid prison? Because this is time to change the system where you have to incorporate technology. It don't have to be, computers for every single child in the classroom, but you could have a projector on the screen and the teacher with her laptop there showing videos and etc. etc. Until we get to the point where it is everybody with a tablet, a school issue tablet or whatever that remains on the school compound. That is what we're supposed to be striving for, because the minister said it. She said there are some children that are striving with online and then there are some that aren't. So are you going to punish the ones who are thriving online by putting them back in the old system instead of incorporating the two?
Indeed, because you're now taking into account what we basically doing what we were doing back in the school days, making everybody climb a tree, whether it's a fish, a monkey, or elephant, giving all of them the same test and wondering why some passing and some failing. It's the same thing with the online schooling now. Are we going to, like you said, include that in the new curriculum or revise the curriculum or make it in such a way that everybody has equal or similar access, create equity in the educational system right now? Because similarly to everything that we see in the country, is those who have are the ones who moving ahead, and those who don't have are being even further disadvantaged.
Yeah.
And that the only
We
thing
have
that is good for
turned
creating is
education
further
and
division in
learning.
society.
They have turned education and learning into a chore instead of a fun, exciting, yes, you know what Miss going to teach us today? Yeah, we no longer have children excited to go to school. And that's what we need to get back. Where it's learning. Children are allowed to ask all the questions ever without fear of, what Miss will think, or it's a stupid question or whatever. There are no such thing as stupid questions. And that's the only way children learn, by asking questions. Are we going to do this? We need more apps of the curriculum. West Indian primer should be in app form by now. Preschoolers could have been doing that on the tablet. He is, she is, it is, we are, you are. That's what they were supposed to be doing. Children who having difficulty learning to read could have used that app. So while they're doing their work online with Miss, in the evening, they could have been doing, extra work, revising what they already know. So they could have repeated it. And you don't need somebody physically there to sit down with them to say, no, you said the wrong thing. That's not you. That's we. They could have pressed it and it would have said it for them. And they just repeat what it says. And you learn like that. Why are we not introducing these things? Why are we not thinking about these things? That's not rocket science.
One of my greatest fears is waking up a morning and it's finally dawning on me that the rest of the world has moved far ahead and we stuck here.
Yeah,
And that fear came alive yesterday. Yesterday was the 4th of July. Happy Independence, the United States, or belated independence. And my two best friends, one who lives in New York and one who lives in Virginia, one was at a boat ride in New York out in New York City, and the other one went to 3 different barbecues that friends and family were hosting. And while they were doing that, I was wondering whether or not I would be able to go to the laundromat today and do some laundry, seeing as that is the only thing that's going to be open that is going to benefit me as a citizen. And I mean, it's so ridiculous that it's over ridiculous, but that's what it feels like. Everybody is moving on. They have adapted to living in a COVID-19 world. They're using a mask. They're dealing and they're controlling their spikes and their numbers. And we here still fighting up. Still
fighting with each other. We
bickering.
We still blaming Kamala for what? And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yes. Blaming Kamala for what happened in these 6 years, and I'm watching it with that same article with which administration spend the most amount of money on legal fees, and I mean I know they just print that so we could not feel, so Faris can feel as bad as we know he should be made to feel because he loses everything that he attempts, but listening to them argue about who spent 600 million versus who spent 371 million. And I'm thinking between both of you all, that's $1 billion in the past 10 years.
And we have nothing to gain from that.
That we have nothing to show for it.
Right?
While you all argue and pelt feces at each other from across.
Instead of the argument being parents could get a tax-free vehicle and courtesy us, but the hospital staff cannot get the shoe and the uniform allowance. Nurses still working on 2013 salaries. Police still working on 2013 salaries. Prison officers, fire officers, your regular civil servant, immigration, customs, everybody still working on 2013 salaries while we are in 2021. While all of them taking tax break, vehicles, and must be buying boats and yachts and whatever else, right? But we working on 2013 salaries. Your police service that you're treating like dog, them dying and up and down with all this waste of time SOE and curfew, still working on 2013 salaries. All that money that they're collecting for ticket this and ticket that, still not going into the Ministry of National Security pocket, for them to say, well, right, this is our budget. We using this money to do this. We using money to do that. Or they're getting training for this. So you wouldn't be talking to people like that. Or you wouldn't go and break down somebody flipping door and it's the wrong people door you're breaking down. So when they sue us, we have the money to pay back for the door. Nothing so, police making money for the Ministry of Finance to do God alone knows what with.
I just before we close off, I just reading this last comment by Nicholas. He said the government keeps saying it's the whole world in a pandemic, but it seems like we're the only country going in reverse. And
Yes.
I could not have said it any better. We literally doing everything backwards, and
Yeah.
it really feels like we're going back in time. And
Look, country New Zealand, they don't wear masks. And have other countries, I think Israel isn't wearing masks. And other countries that are still wearing masks, they have already been vaccinated and watching herd immunity. Their borders shut, all their people home. So they're looking at dealing with it. We can't even say when, what going to happen with our open borders. For all you know, we inviting the Delta variant to come here and mass produce. But mother of all carnivals in 2022. So what? COVID just going to ups and vanish by December?
like I said a few weeks ago, I cannot, in good conscience, as somebody who loves carnival, I do not think I could play another mass in this country with a clear conscience, knowing the people behind the so-called celebration that we have, because I know that that is just putting a plaster on the big sore, the
Felicia,
big
if school was
upset that is
open
Trinidad and Tobago.
physically, if
Was that
school
babe?
was open physically in September, I am not comfortable sending my children to school.
And that's another discussion. Are you going to be allowed to continue homeschooling your children? What is going to happen come September? Come September, which, by the way, a few months ago seemed like so far away. September, which is now less than 2 months
Yeah,
again to go. What
because
is
you're
going to
seeing
be?
cases rising every single day. You saw where younger people getting it now. What am I going to feel comfortable or as a responsible parent to send my child to school with other children coming from God alone knows where, with teachers who I don't know what, to get COVID to bring it back home? For me, I have elderly parents.
I don't know, Limbs. But I do know that I have to go at this point, and I'll leave you to do the closing remarks. But before I go, I just have to wrap up and say I saw somebody asking earlier, what do we do? We don't just talk this program for talking. I mean, yes, I have a lot of events, and on a Monday and a Wednesday is my day to come and vent and discuss what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago with you all. But this is also an opportunity for us to unite. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, we created a informal but still formal organization, a body that citizens can unite under. It's not a political party. It is an umbrella that we can unite under that advocates for public and social change in this country. We do advocate for we defend our members against public and private sector abuse. So it is an organization that acts on behalf of its citizens. The information that we bring in to you guys today, this is all about empowering you. A lot of people do have knowledge about what is transpiring. You read things in the papers, they use such language that you can't even interpret. We're here to simplify it and break it down and to encourage citizens to unite. If it's one thing I believe can save Trinidad and Tobago, is unity. It has to be the first step. And we have to be able to unite and realize that a red monkey, yellow monkey is still two monkeys in a circus that we no longer want to be in. We want to be one of those countries that progressing. And if you believe in a progressive country, if you believe in citizens not having to beg the government for $1,500 and then go through interview and jump high and low to get a $500 food card and 2 bags of yam. If you believe in that, then keep following us. Follow the Citizens Union. You can find us online, citizensuniontt.org, and learn about what this organization is about. We are one of the few people, few organizations, few activist groups that are openly speaking about the real issues that impact us as Trinbagonians. You want to know where we're going from here? This is our start. Limbs, over to you to close.
All right, guys. So again, as you could see now, I hope people could see it now. We in this by ourselves and they in it on a different level. Because to be able to buy $1 million vehicles in a pandemic while you have people suffering, can't buy food, houses getting repossessed, cars being repossessed, it means they are out of touch and they don't care. And that is the reality. And that is a reality Trinidadians need to face sooner rather than later. And we need to understand that we are in this together. We have to help each other. We have to be each other's keeper. And there's no way around it now. That is just how it is. And the faster we get to understand that and realize that, the better for us, so that we could stand up as one people against our dictatorial government. And when I say government, the opposition is part of it as well. Because don't feel they're innocent in this. That game they're playing, that is the monopoly game they play in there to tug at our emotional strings for all who want to defend them. And we have to put a stop to that now and understand that they in it together. Kamla could buy a tax exempted BMW tomorrow if she wanted. Right? So that is where we are and that is where we have to be. We are one people under one flag and we have to maintain that. So for now, stay strong, stay steady, and get ready. I like that.
Me too.
Right? So until Wednesday, be safe, Trinidad and Tobago. Bye.
Bye.